be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness.
Hello and good morning. Welcome back to the Daily Dose. It is January 16th. Happy Martin Luther King Day and at the end of 2 weeks of the new year. It's kind of an exciting time because this is a challenging week in my opinion. So I'm curious to see when I'm talking about today, how many of you are really experiencing some of these challenges that I have noticed. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the very first thing was week 2 harder than week 1 for you? Because I find that the more I dig into goal setting, the more I dig into the beginning of each year, the more I dig into challenging quests towards greatness, the more I find that week 2 is actually harder than week 1. The starting phase is exciting. It's fun. You're like, man, this is awesome. This is something new. I'm ready to go. And you're feeling really good about the idea of jumping in. Week 2, some of the realizations of the difficulties start to set in. You really have to start to pay attention to the habits. Life starts to catch back up to you because now we're starting to get back into the groove of things. And oftentimes, weeks 2 and weeks 3, you start to see a slip. And some of the things that you were really excited about in week 1, I just don't have time today, so you let it slide. What I want to know is, how are you paying attention to that? What kind of tracking are you doing to help keep you on point with the goals you've set? Because if you're not really paying attention, if you're not tracking, my guess is by the end of this week, you'll be losing some of those goals. If not this week, next week for sure. Because the truth is that each week we get further into the year, the more the excitement of these grand goals that we have set for ourselves start to fade. And once they start to fade, then our discipline and our habits are what's going to carry us through. And if we're not paying attention to building those habits, we're going to revert back to the old ways that we were doing things. So I don't care what it looks like. I don't think it really matters. Just make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and tracking your success. What I noticed is I have a tracker. It's really simple. I made it this year as a way to keep myself accountable for the new goals that I've set for myself. And I've limited the number of things that I'm doing to 6. And 2 of them are kind of like step-ups of things that I've already built. So it wasn't like I was trying to implement 6 new habits. It was that I was adding in 4 things and moving 2 forward. Even with that in mind, I had a drop off last week from the week before. With tracking, with paying attention, with wanting to be successful with all of these things, I still slipped week 2. If you don't follow through with the tracking as you get further into this year, it's really, really easy to just fall back into your old ways. So if you're having trouble on week 2 versus week 1, first thing's this. It's normal. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can still right the ship. But if you really want to find a successful groove for things, start tracking now. You don't have to worry about what happened the first 2 weeks. That doesn't matter. Start tracking now, and then each week, your goal is to try to take a little half step forward. Just take a little half step forward. And if you find that you have a week where you take a step back, adjust and get back on track, get forward the following week. That's the other piece of this, is that as humans, we fall backwards. We have bad weeks. That's a normal occurrence. You're going to have a week where you're on fire, you nail everything, you're just motivated, you're feeling really good. And then the following week, you're going to feel like, I don't want to do any of this. And forcing yourself to do a few of the things, even if it's less than the week before, it's still moving the ball forward. So that's the main thing for today. I just wanted to make sure I was getting out here in front of you guys and letting you know, look, I'm struggling with some of the things that I'm trying to change too. It's normal that as we progress further into the year, that some of these changes become harder. So keep with it. Find a system that works for you. All right. Start to track some of these goals and these progresses and what you're trying to accomplish, and just keep plugging along. If you need help in any way, please reach out. All right. My email is charles@theedgeofgreatnessproject.com. All right. And I'll help you through it. Okay. Let's get ourselves to the top of the mountain this year. Keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face, but remember, whenever we fall, always get up.
Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.